Hello and welcome to the program today. I'm your host here on Health Professional Radio. Thank you so much for joining us. Our guest in studio is Dr. Ken Hansraj, Chief of Spine Surgery at New York Spine Surgery and Rehabilitation Medicine. He's with us today to talk about his recent study that reveals just how much force is placed on the spine when a woman chooses to have her breast augmented. Welcome to the program, Dr. Hansraj.
Hi, Neal. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for asking. How are you?
I'm good.
Breast augmentation. I have heard some problems with it here and there. Some pretty tragic and I guess extreme cases. But some of these cases aren't necessarily extreme, but they are nevertheless quite impactful when it comes to a woman's health.
Absolutely. Yes.
Increasing breast size is a major undertaking, a number of reasons why a woman would choose to do so. How often are women counseled as to some of the health risks, especially when it comes to, their posture, maybe their spine?
So I spoke with, Neal, I spoke with one of the societies, and they're taking a position that is, their strategic position is not to upsize breast too aggressively. And they're worried about implant displacement, implant dislocation, and they were worried about the burden of the weight of these excessively large implants, but yet they didn't really know the forces. Our study is the first to describe the forces, and they're worried about interference with physical activity. So the societies take a position of moderate augmentation or moderate upsizing of breasts.
So we're talking force being placed on the spine due to excessive augmentation. When you say moderate, is moderate augmentation the same?
It's different. So to approach and to understand this issue, we could discuss how do we get the forces. And so the forces are a result, or it's a calculus of the circumference of the chest, known as the wire size. And also, so for example, a woman would be a 36 or a 38 or a 40, which is commonly known and commonly described. And so the technical jargon is the wire size. Mm-hmm. And then there's the breast size itself. So the circumference itself plays a role. And then the breast size plays a role. So you can have a woman with a 34 triple D, which might be equivalent to a 36A, or in that order. So it's all different for each person.
How many different types, I guess, of augmentation procedures exist? And if there are differences, how would they either add to or take away from some of the stress on the spine?
So the plastic surgeons, I myself am a spinal surgeon, so I'm familiar that they do, for example, saline augmentation, and they do a few different types of augmentation. Now, my bent on this is what is the force, right, of augmenting, of upsizing. So, for example, I'll give you some numbers. If you go from a 36A to a 36B, you're really increasing just 3 pounds of force. But if you go from a 36B to a 36 double D, you're talking about, 10 pounds of force upsizing. And so we've described the forces on all the breast sizes. And this is a tremendous women's health issue. And so for the first time ever, a woman can understand the forces that she naturally carries. So, for example, a 32A would carry about 8.5 pounds of force, and if she upsizes to a 40A, then that's 22 pounds of force, and it's incrementally and it's beautifully described on these tables. So women everywhere can really understand what they're currently experiencing, mm-hmm. and what they could step into with an upsized breast. And downsizing as well.
Okay, yeah, that was my next question. For the woman who has naturally, large breasts and is having trouble with her spine and has been, seen and diagnosed as having a problem, once the breast is diminished in size and weight, does it immediately reverse any of the damage, or are we talking an equal amount of time to undo based on how long, she's been suffering from a particular problem?
So women, as a spine surgeon, I see women with back pain. And early into my practice, I had a hard time wrapping my head into it, but it's very common. And it's very common to see a woman that comes in and says, I've had a reduction and my back pain is gone or much more bearable. It's a very, very common situation.
Now, you're also an author. You're the author of, the internationally best-selling book, Keys to an Amazing Life, Secrets of the Cervical Spine. You also published recently an assessment of stresses in the cervical spine caused by posture and position of the head. So I guess breast augmentation not only affects, if it affects the spine, of course it's going to affect the position of the head as those stresses are introduced. What was your goal in writing Keys to an Amazing Life, The Secrets of the Cervical Spine?
So my goal with writing Keys to an Amazing Life was to help people everywhere to understand the factors that goes into neck pain and back pain. And the answers are not just surgery. The answers are very much in their hands. There's so many things they can do that influences how much back pain, how much suffering. And one of the factors is breast size, up or down, breast sizing. Another factor is the position of the neck. So we did a study, which you alluded to. We did the study on text neck. And so that study showed when your head is straight up, Neal, it weighs 10 pounds. And when your head is forward 60 degrees, it weighs 60 pounds.
Wow.
And right, and so that's like 6 bowling balls. And so that study traveled the entire globe. Every single news media outlet did a story on that because it was so impactful for human beings.
You've been listening to Health Professional Radio. I'm your host, Neal Howard, and we've been in studio today talking with Dr. Ken Hansraj, Chief of Spine Surgery at New York Spine Surgery and Rehabilitation Medicine. And he's been in studio today with us talking about force that is placed on the spine when a woman increases her breast size. It was just a study was conducted that revealed for the very first time the association between increased breast size and spinal strain and pain. It's been great having you here with us today, Doctor. Transcripts and audio of this program are available at healthprofessionalradio.com.au and also at hpr.fm, and you can subscribe to this podcast on iTunes.